Alright, what is up, nerds? I'm Bramblehop, and today I will be, this is kind of a different kind of video. Today I'm interviewing a flat earther. We got all scheduled and everything, and I was late, but we aren't going to talk about that. Anyways, would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Hello, I am, a person who shall not be named.
Okay, would you like a nickname to go by during the interview?
Call me Jeff.
Jeff. Alright.
Yes.
So before we get started, I would like to get some starting questions. So you are a confident flat earther, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So I've done my own research a little bit on this kind of thing. It was really interesting to me because I don't know. I like hearing different points of view. And I thought that I started doing my own research, and I tried to actually talk to some flat earthers on a Discord server, which I mentioned in a previous video, and they were really annoying. They seemed really frustrated that I wanted to talk. Like, I'm gonna guess the reason why is because most of the people who join those servers aren't actual flat earthers, and they're just regular people that just want to talk about that. And I get that, because I was just another one of those people. But anyways, through the power of YouTube, I have found someone who does want to talk about it. And anyways, the point I was getting to was specifically, what do you believe in that the Earth is flat? Like, do you believe that the sun is like going in a circle? Like, what's the specific thing you believe on the Earth being flat?
So I believe that the Earth, there's the flat Earth, and then there's the sun above it.
All right, so the sun is an actual sphere that is rotating around the Earth?
Yeah.
All right, so where did you start believing this? And like, I'm going to assume you went to some sort of typical school that didn't teach these kind of things. Where did you learn about this theory, and when did you start believing it?
My friend told me it. I think he was joking though. Yeah, but it kind of, I think he said it as a joke, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's a joke.
Have you ever talked to other people who believe that?
No, not really.
right,
I've talked to some people who are like interested in like learning about it, like you.
Yeah.
Just like want to know why people.
All right, so you believe that the Earth is flat. So have you heard? I would. This isn't meant to be like attacking what you believe so much as just asking your opinion on it.
Listen, okay. I don't care if you're gonna be like asking me hard questions that are gonna be like hard for me to explain. Okay, I don't care if you like. I don't think you're gonna like be attacking me.
Okay.
Ask away.
That's great. Okay, so the first thing that I had a question that I had planned was, there was a man. I don't actually have his name written down. Let me see if I can get his name. All right, Bob Nodal. So I believe that's how you pronounce it. So he is a flat earther, and he still is. But anyways, he spent some $20,000 or so getting this gyroscope machine that was supposed to prove that the Earth was flat and not in fact round. And he ended up, so basically what happened was, I believe the machine would read 0 if he was correct, but it would read 15 for 15 degrees for whatever amount of, I don't know, if the Earth was round, and it actually ended up reading exactly 15. So what's your opinion on that?
Let me think. It's pretty hard to. I have no idea.
Okay.
I have. Because I know what it's a. I've heard this story before, and I've thought about it.
Yeah.
And I'm just very confused by it.
All right. So another good question. So I would assume that this might vary a little bit throughout the flat Earth community, but one question that I have is, so you believe that the Earth is completely flat, right? The first question is, what do you think is below it? Or if it's just like space all around, or that kind of stuff surrounding the Earth.
So I think that, oh wait, I think my mic cut out, did it? No, I'm good. Okay, so I think that there's the Earth, and then there's, this flat Earth. Then below it, it's pretty much just space.
Okay.
And like, I think it's a little bit like not completely flat, like sort of like, you know what an ellipse is, like not a perfect circle, like an oval kind of thing.
Yeah. All
Like it's
right.
kind of like that, except like it's like cut in half.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I think that a lot of art that I've seen depicting this kind of has it as a dome. But another question I have. So we have an idea on the Earth itself and its basic shape. Um, Another question I have is, what about the edge of the Earth? So by that I mean, I think that most people consider that to be Antarctica.
Yeah.
Would
Um,
what do you think of that?
so I think that there's an ice wall surrounding it.
Okay, so that I guess that would be a reason why nobody's gone to the very edges, because there's an ice wall at the very end.
Yeah, so if you go onto it, pretty much. So you know how Antarctica has a bunch of storms and stuff? It's
Yeah.
like super windy and, cold and stuff. So this is my personal theory on it. So what happens is people, they go toward it, they're going toward it, and then a storm can happen. And that's why it's always storming, so that they get lost and they might accidentally turn around. And all the people that die in Antarctica or go missing, they either got subdued by the cold or they fell off.
Oh, that's definitely interesting. I don't know if I've heard that specifically here. I was curious what you think of constellations. So it's actually time zones. That would be the first thing that I understood, because you live, like, actually when we were scheduling this, you live at one
Said I
time
lived in
zone.
the Southwest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I live somewhere else that will be undisclosed for the time being. I'll probably do face reveals and stuff when I get a little bit older. But anyways, that aside, what do you think of time zones?
So basically, the sun. Oh God, I knocked into something. The sun is above the Earth, and then light gets bent by the atmosphere in a way that makes it so that the sun kind of curves around. So when it goes in a circle, sometimes when it goes in a full circle, it takes time to actually go around, which, here, let me explain it differently. So, the Earth is flat, and above it you have the sun, and, it shines light down, but doesn't shine light everywhere. And then, what happens, is that when it moves, that area is dark, then another area is dark, and then that area is light, and it moves again, and then that area is dark that used to be light, which can cause time zones.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it. Actually, that would make a pretty good amount of sense for really areas up north in this theory of yours, for to accommodate for things like that. If the sun is during the summertime, the sun is closer to the northern areas, closer to the Arctic, and then during the winter it kind of rotates outward a bit more towards the
Yeah.
Antarctic. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's like a spiral kind of pattern how it comes in and out.
Yeah. All right. That makes enough sense. But another question that I have that I don't think I've ever really seen excessively mentioned in anywhere that I've researched is, so in traditional science, so that would be regular astronomy and other things like that.
Yeah.
We I guess you wouldn't consider them to be true, but we have theories on why all of these things work the way they do. So we have theories on, gravity and other kinds of forces that sort of direct where everything where everything goes and why it goes this way. Do you have any theories as to why the Earth is right here and why the sun is out spinning in that position?
So when the Big Bang happened, 14 point, what was it? 6 years, 13.8 billion years ago it was, right?
Something like that.
So what happened? Yeah, something like that. So pushed everything, and it pushed it all up and a little bit outward at 9.8 meters per second, which is how fast things fall on Earth, right?
Okay.
So that's like their maximum velocity with no air. So what happened was the sun's spin, it causes it to move around in the atmospheric thing, the dome thing,
Yeah.
and the spin is like I said, what can cause time zones and what it's light in the summer.
Yeah.
I'm about to get roasted online for this. I don't care. It's fine.
All right. So that's what you believe. So you do believe in the Big Bang.
Yes.
All right. So you
Like,
so
it makes sense that
yeah.
there was something. I'm not religious. I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
a question I had. So what do you think of stars, the moon, other things like that?
So the moon and the sun, they are for atoms. Oh, they can. I don't know if you know this, but atoms they can link each other. I think it's called like quantum linking or something.
I've
I guess
heard
so they
of
can link
this.
each other. Yeah, so they can
Yeah.
like link each other from really far distances, and they can have impacts on each other, right?
Yeah.
So with the sun and the moon, so for the moon, it's connected to the sun with the same way, and so it does the opposite of what the sun does. And then
Okay.
for other planets, what could have happened is they could be flat too, or B, when the Big Bang happened, it shot them all out, and then they like kind of morphed into their shapes due to other things like hitting them or other things like that.
Yeah. So you believe okay, but specifically stars. So I'm gonna assume that okay. Do you think that the Big Bang? So I don't know exactly what traditional scientists believe on this, but I believe that wherever the Big Bang was, it's very far from where we are now. Would you believe?
13.8 billion light years away. Yeah.
Yeah, very very far away. So would you say that it also was very far away in your belief, or would you say that it happened like where the Earth is?
So the Earth is 4.5 billion years old on the crust, but I think it still happened a long ago, but I don't think it happened as long ago. So
Okay.
like, for example, scientists agree that the Earth is 4.5 billion years ago. I'm not going to dispute that fact, but that could also mean that the universe is only 4.5 billion years old. Okay, yeah, so I think that the Big Bang happened 4.5 billion years ago because that's how old the Earth is, and so the Earth was made at the Big Bang.
Okay. But
ASMR.
that's another interesting point. But what I was trying to say, I might not have worded it very well. I was asking
Yeah.
if like the cosmic egg, as it's called, was that at Earth or was it 13 billion light years away?
I would say it would be, like I said, 13.8 billion light years away.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. So that means I would assume that like stars, all that stuff. So would you say that? So you mentioned that some other planets might be flat. Would you say that the Earth is sort of special, where it has its own like sun, moon thing, and everything revolves around it, or would you say that all planets have their own sun and moon or moons, because many planets have several moons? What do you think about that?
I've not thought about this far. I would say that they would probably have their own sun and their moons. They would have their own sun and moons. But I would not say that the Earth is special,
Okay.
except for like the life part, because
Yeah, we do have some interesting characteristics. Uh,
Yeah.
so so you would say that even planets like that are considered to be close to us, like Mars, you would say that those have their own sun and whatever moons that Mars has, those are also connected to it, and that Mars is flat.
Uh, yeah.
Okay, that's definitely very interesting. All right, so with that in mind, do you believe that anything that companies like NASA or the ESA or SpaceX, would you say that any of those companies ever do anything truly valid, like sending satellites out into space? Or is it all a scam? Is it all fake?
I do think that they sent satellites out because, like, to orbit Earth itself, because we have, GPS, global positioning satellites,
Yeah,
which is just, the phone sends a signal and then the satellite tells you where you are.
yeah.
But I don't think that I don't think they've sent anything to Mars or the other planets. Like, they
Oh,
said that they sent it, and they didn't.
okay. I definitely see where you're coming from. There, like, I personally believe that I believe that we did go to space, we did go to the moon, etc. But I do see how a lot of people could have questions because the initial moon landing was in 1969, which was it was 56 years ago, I believe, which at that time, the computer on that spaceship had, I believe, 4 kilobytes of RAM. And I think the actual ship was about as thin, some parts of the metal exterior were about as thin as a tin can. And it made it to the moon, and we haven't been there in about 50 years, and that's one of the issues that I can see with it. What do you think of the upcoming moon missions, the Artemis moon missions that are going to be happening? I think in 2030 something. I don't think it's exactly set in stone, but I've heard things
I
about it.
think it's gonna be like 2031 or something. Um, so like I said, okay, so I don't know if I said it, but the moon is round.
Okay.
The Earth is flat, but the moon is round. So they go to the moon, then they land back on Earth. When they're there, they see the flat Earth, but they can't tell anyone
Yeah.
because that would not be good for NASA. Also, I'd like to point something out about the government, which NASA is, I'm pretty sure, run by the government.
Yes. NASA is run by
Got
the
the
American
government.
government.
Yeah. It's never fully telling the truth. If you look back in history of the United States government, if you look back at, like, let's go back to Roswell crash, right? So I forgot when that was. I think that was like 1985 or something.
Roswell, what?
So Roswell crash, it was
Okay.
the alien spaceship crash. So that
I
was
don't
not an
think
alien
I've
spaceship.
I
That
don't think
was
I've ever heard of this. This is I'm intrigued now. Tell me more.
so the crash. It wasn't actually aliens,
Yeah.
obviously. It was actually I think it was, I can't remember what plane it was, but it was a experimental spy plane to spy on the Russians.
The Cold Wars are good times.
Yeah, they were good times. What the hell?
But anyways, Roswell crash. Hang on, I'm actually gonna see if there's a Wikipedia article about this. I've never heard of
Yeah,
this.
there's 100% is. Oh, it was a balloon. It was a military balloon.
Okay.
So it was made to detect nuclear tests from the
Yeah.
Soviets. So
So you mentioned aliens. Do you believe? You said that wasn't an alien incident. I think it seems as though a lot of other people who believe in things like that they thought that was aliens. Do you believe in aliens at all, extraterrestrial beings?
I don't believe in like Hollywood aliens, where they're like multicellular beings that are intelligent, and I believe that there is life somewhere out there, like microorganisms like bacteria or fungi, stuff like that. I believe that there has to be something like that because there is 100 billion planets in our galaxy alone, and there
Yeah.
are hundreds of billions of galaxies in the known universe, and then there's still the rest of the universe that we don't know about.
Yeah, I would say that I'm gonna also completely agree with you on that one. That is my opinion as well. But anyways,
Also,
yeah,
yeah. Also, so Mars, we don't have life in our solar system today, but we might have used to. Mars, like couple billions of years ago, when Earth was a dead rock of sadness and no life,
yeah.
Mars had liquid water in it.
Okay. How do you know that?
I'm seeing contradictions in my theory here.
Okay. Take your time. Take your time.
I'm gonna go back a little bit. So, forget that NASA did not launch the things. They
Okay.
did launch them. They launched satellites to orbit the other planets, but they didn't launch landers like Curiosity, Opportunity, and them. But they launched satellites to image Mars.
Okay.
So what they found there, what they saw, were layer marks in some of like the crevices and stuff, like
Yeah.
crevasses on this, that had rock features that are only possible with water,
Dang.
from liquid water. So
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting theory. I think I've heard stuff like this before. But anyways, so you would say that what would you say the stars are? Are they different from the sun?
yes,
All right, so they're kind of their own thing. Would you say the sun is the traditional concept of like a flaming ball of gas?
yes.
All right.
Technically, it's plasma, but
Sorry, like you know that's a layman's term.
yeah,
Uh,
whatever it is.
yeah.
I,
Anyways, so flaming balls of plasma. Would you say that
yeah,
stars are the same in that, like the
yes, they're
same
the same
structure?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the same thing, except just way bigger or way closer than we think they are.
Okay. So you mentioned that planets all have their own suns and moons. Would you say that those stars are going around planets in little tiny circles?
But the stars that are on top of no, they're just like Earth's star, where they're or the sun, I guess, where it's above it, and it's like small, and then it just rotates above it.
Yeah.
Very, yeah.
All right.
So it'd be
So
like Earth's sun.
all right. So all the stars are very similar to our sun or our star.
Yeah, except they're just either bigger or farther away or closer than we think that they are.
Okay. Yeah, like it is true that most theories would generally say that stars are very far away from our solar system, which it's just crazy. I don't know what you think on that kind of stuff, and I might ask in a minute, but it's just crazy to think on how vast space is. Actually, yeah, I am going to ask you that. Do you would like in traditional, you would probably know this just as well as I do, that traditional science depicts space as very, very vast. I don't know if you've ever been, but there's this website that I think is a really good representation of this where you can scroll. It's really interesting. You can scroll to see like accurate to scale depictions of how far things are away from each other. And I never finished it because you have to scroll even with my super fast like metal unlockable scroll wheel. I was scrolling for like minutes and I couldn't get from like
Yeah.
several different distances for planets. It's just crazy. Would you say that space is like that in your particular depiction of our world?
Yes.
All right, so it is also insanely vast, and with that vastness in mind, in our in the modern in our world, it's also a fact. You can see pictures of this on different places around Earth. We actually have different. We can see constellations differently at night because we're on different positions on what would generally be depicted as a globe. Would you say that what do you think about that with how constellations and stars look pretty very different from wherever you are in the world?
So when you're on Earth, let's say you're on the right side of Earth, like the east side of Earth, I guess.
Okay.
So you're standing there, the moon is above you, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens? So you can't see the. So you know how if you're on the light, you can't see into the dark. Like if you're like standing in a light area and you try to look in the dark, it's like impossible.
Yeah.
So what's happening is, so you're on the light side, for example, the moon is above you, and then when you try to look out to, you can only look out to the east, because the west side, okay, so when you're standing on Earth, you can't see the other side of it,
Okay.
so you can't see where the sun is, because it pretty much blocks your view.
Yeah.
So you can't see that side So let's say you have Capricorn on one side, and then like, I don't know, Cancer on the other. So if you're standing under Capricorn, you can see Capricorn, but you when you try to look to Cancer, the sun blocks you. And the sun just sort of blocks your view. And then the moon just becomes like that dark veil on you, like Elden Ring or something.
Okay, so that's your opinion on that. Before we wrap up and ask some finishing questions, is there anything else that you want to talk about that I might have missed with your point of view?
No, you got about pretty much everything.
All right. Okay. So one final question.
You're about to hit me with boats.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna try to. I wasn't asking anything super pressing. I was just asking if there were any other unpopular opinions that you had, like other things that most people call like conspiracy theories or other stuff like that. Because I've been on some flat earther Discord servers like I mentioned, and a lot of them also not only were talking about the Earth being flat, they believed other things as well. Like, I don't know, I've heard random stuff thrown around, but was there anything else that you would say most people don't believe that you do believe?
Not really.
Okay. I would say that's probably a good thing because, like, to put it in perspective, like I was on one. It was called if you search flat Earth on Discord, like server search, there are like 5 servers that pop up. I joined 2 of them, the 2 biggest ones. One is like the official flat Earth Discord server, and then the other one I joined because I was sure it would be unhinged, and it was called I think it was called the Flat Earth Feminist Discord server. I don't know, like it was just kind of random.
What?
Yeah, and like there were a lot of different things there, and including like I was scrolling through announcements, and another thing I found was like something about zombies and JFK, and I don't know, but it was I think that I picked the right person to interview because you seem much more grounded in your beliefs rather than just denying everything and saying random stuff. What were you gonna say?
So for example, other flat earthers I've gone to the Discord servers you're talking about.
Oh.
And they're just absolutely insane. They're like throwing out some wild theories that I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, okay, I definitely picked the right person to interview.
Yeah, I'm not like the kind of person who's like, the government's lying to you.
Yeah, okay, what is your opinion? Okay, yes, this is the question that I was going to ask. This is the one that I couldn't remember. So, I think it's pretty well understood that the government, and by the government I mean it's kind of a weird term that's used in communities like this. Whenever you say the government, you just mean every government, not just one. So the government is trying to hide the fact that the Earth is flat and other planets are flat. Why would you say that they do that? Why is that so important to them?
So if the government revealed that the Earth wasn't flat, a lot of people would be mad, and a lot of religious people would be mad. They've accepted the fact that the Earth isn't flat and that the universe doesn't revolve around us, which obviously it doesn't. But
yeah.
Also, religion would get very mad. A lot of people would be, super confused on why, like, scientific people would be lying to them for a long time. They'd be confused. It's like, when you're in a lie too deep and you feel like you can't tell anyone.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I actually would absolutely agree with you that if the government for some reason, or people as a whole for some reason, believe that the Earth is round, I actually would not expect the government to change that opinion at all. Like, for instance, a good example is whenever Galileo, I believe, was one of the first people who confronted the round Earth theory. Once he started throwing that idea out there, everybody kind of smushed him down for a while until he's recognized as a genius all this time later. Why do you think that initial change happened? Why do you think that
I think
the government, like at some point, people unanimously just said, okay, I guess the Earth is actually round?
So at the time, when everybody believed it, which it started actually back in like 2000 BC. I think it was like 1,002 years ago. I think it was either Pythagoras or Plato.
Who first?
They had like a little, yeah, like the Earth was round. But I think that at the time, when everybody, agreed that the Earth was round, everybody, they had more evidence then to support it than they had more evidence than that the Earth was flat theory at the time.
Okay, I actually get that. That does make a pretty good amount of sense. That by a certain point, they had originally they had this theory, like if I were a caveman or whatever, I think it would, like, seeing the world around me, I would automatically think that the whatever world I lived in, I don't know much about it, but it seems to me like it's not globe shaped. I would have no reason to think that. So that's how it started, where everybody thought the Earth was flat, and then as time went on, that those thoughts expanded, and for a really long time, that's what we thought was true, until eventually we got more information that suggested that the Earth was round, more calculations about stars and whatnot.
Yeah. 1 second.
Yeah, for sure.
Was my evil 4-year-old sister, but okay. Yeah.
Okay, like every time you say, "Oh no, someone's knocking on my door," I'm just thinking of, I don't know if you know it, but it's a sound from FNAF whenever FNAF 1, whenever you like turn the light on and there's an entity there, I don't know how to describe it, but that sound, the entity right there sound, that's what I'm imagining. But anyways, that actually makes a pretty good amount of sense to me, and I'm to wrap things up, I'm very glad that I chose you to interview, or rather had you, because I didn't have a whole lot of options because I'm not a very big channel yet. But anyways, thank you so much for coming. But before we leave the call,
and of course I subscribe to you.
Oh yay! Thank you so much. And actually, you made a pretty good point to remind everyone to go subscribe. As of the time,
subscribe to this guy.
Oh gosh,
different.
Oh nah. as of recording, I have 899 subscribers. I'm almost at 1,000. But anyways, thank you so much for coming here. Before we
if you
leave,
get him to 1,000 subscribers, I'll believe that the Earth is round.
Wait, you will? Oh no.
Yeah.
No. Don't place your beliefs on a subscriber count. Oh, okay. Imagine I'm like teetering between 1,000 and 999 all the time, where someone keeps subscribing and unsubscribing, so you have to constantly change your belief system. You got a poster on the wall. God. You've got a globe map, and you've got a regular flat map. You just have to take them in and out of storage all the time. Anyways, thanks so much for staying till the end of this video. It was really long. I'm sorry, this took me forever to actually edit, but whatever the case, thanks for staying to the end. If you want more content like this, feel free to comment down below what other kind of interviews you think I should do, because I should be able to find somebody with whatever niche that y'all would be interested in. But whatever the case, I don't want to make a video this long ever again, because I'm dead. But anyways, y'all have a nice day.